Okay, so I'm going to answer two of these here. So this would be, do you have any case studies you're particularly proud of? Perhaps not specific cases, but certain activities like an interview that went viral. And also, how can you prove that you work proactively? Are there specific examples where you didn't wait, but instead proposed additional ideas or actions to the client? That would probably come from the case studies, but I'm just going to share what I've got. And there's probably some of that stuff in there in number 13 that that I'll try to keep in the back of my head as I'm kind of walking you through these things. The idea here being that like, I'm just going to try to answer your question, which is really around case studies I'm particularly proud of. So I'll just call out the things that are kind of unusual or extremely powerful. I think the best thing about the best thing about this case study, this is the agriculture arable. I'll move this over here. Number one, with this client, it was 10 years. That's like kind of unbelievable. Nobody, like the average client tenure for a PR agency is like 6 months to about a year. So this is anywhere from like 10 to 20 times the length. It's my longest client. It's also been one of the most interesting because they had no customers. Now they're working today with Google and like these massive Fortune 500 companies. I was with them through the ups and the downs, like literally them renaming, rebranding. They've launched their product. I think they're on the fourth generation now, through multiple funding rounds. Also, just like when they launched the product into the market, it was kind of like it could be a solution for almost anything. It was very unfocused, and then it became very focused, and then it was also like, well, that focus was wrong, so now we need to focus on maybe several areas, and then it kind of repivoted again. Like I've been kind of with them through this journey of like them finding themselves, and then where they find themselves today is like in a very focused place where they've got product market fit and they're signing $1 million contracts, multi-million dollar contracts, and it's amazing. I'm so happy for them because I mean there was periods of times where it was very like it could be lights out for them, but they persevered, and I think there is so much. There's so much here. I don't even know. I probably will expand this case study a little bit more when I'm done with this call because I'm not sure this really captures everything. What's kind of interesting is I have Arable listed for two case studies. I didn't really want to do that because I know one should be one company per sector. But the truth is, I only have one agriculture company and I only have one sustainability. Like this is the only client that I have that kind of blurs those two lines. So I don't want to just make one. And I don't think there's a really high risk of someone who's in agriculture then also going to the sustainability page and reading a different case study. If it happens, it happens. But, in general, I think, yeah, this was like just such a cool, interesting partnership. And then the same thing for sustainability. Like, this is kind of maybe like a part two to the first part, which is that like they were really all about like agriculture and like, reducing like how much fertilizer gets used, reducing how much water gets used, figuring out when's the right time to get the crop, figuring out when's to send the right guy out into the field to go pick the food or whatever. That has all changed, and now they've like realized this product can actually help those people with the massive irrigation arms that spray so much water. And like, if you didn't know this, like agriculture uses more water than any industry in the whole entire world, and we're running out of water. So it's kind of a big deal not to use it. But then you also have this other interesting thing where you've got tech companies who are building these data centers for AI. And what people don't know is that actually in these data centers, they're flushing water through the system to keep these devices cool, like the servers and everything. And then that water gets like expelled or just vaporizes. I don't know. But it uses a ton of water. So these tech companies, they want to be like good for the environment, net zero, and all this stuff. So they pay for these farmers to put these devices on their irrigation arms to help the farmers save on water, and then the tech company gets the benefit. It's just like it's this crazy cycle, but like ultimately they're incentivizing sustainability even though they're consuming it. So they're just trying to offset their own use. But who cares? Because now the company is like all focused on this whole sustainability thing. And this story kind of talks about how like they began as like a kind of an agriculture tech startup, but through this partnership, we helped them kind of ultimately land a really big client. Like, so for example, they ended up just trialing out this sort of technology around saving water in some sort of federal grant project that was being offered by the government, and they did really well, and it saved a bunch of water, and they had a whole bunch of like farmer testimonials about saving water. We kind of packaged that stuff up, helped them win a bunch of awards like Fast Company, Next Big Things in Tech. We were pushing hard on the sustainability awards and like Time Green Tech companies, all of this stuff to help them get more visibility. Lo and behold, then, the CEO starts reaching out to Google and other big tech companies, and those tech companies see that coverage, see this company is legit, and they can work with them, and they feel good about it because there's all this positive press, and that kind of like leads to this next phase of growth for the company. So that's what I think is like really like I'm really proud of this. I can tell you for certain, without PR, this company would not exist today. It would have just fizzled and died. I don't want to take all the credit for that because there's a lot of people who went into there's the people who built the product and the sales team. Like, I'm not single-handedly responsible, but I can say without it, there's no way they would be where they are today. And so, yeah, I'm very, very proud of this client. It's super cool. It's a feel-good story, and it's also just like they're doing wonderful things in Africa and helping like people who are on farms grow more food out there. So it's not just about like big tech. There's just a lot of really cool stories. So that's them. Um, Build Ops. This is like a cool case study because I was working with them. Like, if you're not familiar with this term unicorn, it means companies that are worth $1 billion or more. And then once you're worth $1 billion valuation, you're a unicorn. And that's like what Silicon Valley is, whatever, came up with, I don't know, 10 years ago. Anyways, this case study's cool because they're a unicorn. And like, you think about all these clients who come through our door, they all want to be ultra successful and make a ton of money and be unicorns themselves and go IPO and blah, blah, blah. So like, this case study is interesting because it's like it showcases that we work with these billion-dollar companies. And like, just in general, I think we absolutely crushed on all of our campaign stuff that we wanted to do for them. But in general, I would say like the most impressive thing here is probably just like the fact that they're a billion-dollar company. For this particular case study, what's like kind of impressive or interesting is that it's all about like the timing of this. Like, the guy came in as a referral from a venture capital firm that I know really well. And he was like, yeah, we're launching in like 2 weeks. And like, I don't have anything done. And like, I think my buddy over at such and such publication will write for us. And it was like within 2 weeks, we like basically had to like race to like get a media list, create the targets, write the pitch, get the press release, create a press kit, like all of these different assets and components, pitch the story. But then also, he was like pretty sure that his buddy was going to write the story. Turns out Buddy does not write the story and is not in. And then therefore we have to like quickly go and turn around and just within a few days go and land this story. And we landed a great story. The person did an amazing job, write up a beautiful feature. Fantastic. And that, I think, just kind of shows you when you watch some of my other videos, we talk about process and goals and strategy. When you have a client like this, you're not building all that stuff. If you're a traditional PR firm, you can't pull this off. We pull this off because we operate closer to like kind of a scrappy startup ourselves and just like very, very quick, integrate. Let's be fast. We're in a Slack channel. We're talking with the founder. We're getting all of our stuff within a day. We turn around a press release. Like we move as fast as needed to execute on this incredibly difficult challenge. So that's what I think is cool about this. For this particular case study, I think what's most impressive is that like they got a great feature in a tier one publication, and the positioning of their app in that sort of article was perfect. They really wanted to make sure that they were not lumped into the wrong category or like described incorrectly. And I don't know if you remember Clubhouse, that app that went viral years ago. It was all about like, I don't know what the hell it was about, something social audio. People would get on and I don't know, whatever, like have a little chit chat or something. Anyways, it was like a thing. It was like a thing here. I don't know if it's a thing where you guys are, but anyways, they were like this company was launching Walkie Talkie, which was like an app for like a really younger generation, Gen Z, and yeah, they had a lot of interesting ideas and a lot of cool stuff that was like basically powering their app. So we nailed the exclusive. We issued a press release, got it syndicated far and wide. And within just a couple of weeks of that article, the app went to number one in the App Store for like the social category. That's really cool. So I think like if you think about it, if you're like an app, like a mobile app, who kind of comes in and wants to work with us, like you would want to be number one on the App Store, wouldn't you? So I think like, did this article do that? I don't know. Probably not. Did it have a role? Yes, definitely. But in general, I think it was like an awesome, like little stat here. FinTech, Imprint, another really cool client, another unicorn, so $1 billion company here as well. And what was really interesting and unique about this particular client is that they were like everybody has different PR needs, right? Like some people would just want to attract a whole bunch of customers. For this particular company, they have like 10 deals, their entire industry. They're like billions of dollars of worth for one deal. It's very, or hundreds of millions or something. It's very, very crazy. There's only like 10 deals. It's a very slow industry, a lot of regulation. They're like, if we could win like two deals, we would be like over the moon. We'd be hitting all of our numbers. So for us, PR is not about like bringing in leads. We know there's only going to be 10 deals in a year. What we need PR to do is to help change our perception. We don't want to be seen as a startup. We want to be seen as an established company that can take on like big banks like JP Morgan or Bank of America or whatever. And those guys are established and they own the market. So we went in and we absolutely landed the most beautiful feature article in Forbes. You can read it, you can Google it. You can read about here in the case study, but I think just like in general, it like set them up for success. They went on to win like next $1 billion startups. They went on to raise like a 75 million C. I mean, just absolutely crazy. So like, yeah, I would just say like everybody wants to be super successful. And everybody has different needs. Some are all about racing against the clock to launch a product, and some are all about changing perception and solidifying different things. This is a cool example of spotlighting that. The next one, developer Circle CI. I'd say what's sort of unique or interesting about this is again, is a 4-year long partnership. That's really long in PR terms. We went through multiple funding rounds with them. That was the stuff I showed you in a previous Loom, where you can see this is when we started and this is where we ended, and just like 11x in terms of what we did for them on any given quarter. Absolutely crushing. Where am I at? Where am I going? Sorry, I lost my place. Yeah. So basically, um, we helped launch this company through like an insane period. Like I think during COVID, there was like a whole bunch of people who were forced to work remote, and then everything was like distributed. So like DevOps became like continuous integration. What this company did became like the thing, and we helped just crush on all these articles, like really meeting the moment. So yeah, like I would say, like, what's the most impressive thing about this is not any one particular article. It's just the fact that like we grew with them from like Series C to Series E funding. Uh, they like later went on to, like a month after we stopped working with them, they like were a $1.7 billion valued company. So another unicorn that we worked with. Uh, and yeah, we were just with them through the ups and the downs and the growth in kind of a really niche, unsexy industry. We were able to get them attention and help shape the narrative. Crypto, Cadena, this one's super cool and super unique because like crypto is full of bullshit, scam artists, suckers, like pay to play media. It's just garbage. Vast majority is shit coins. And the media is very like bullshit adverse in this industry more than any other industry. If you're like working at like a really top tier media outlet, you are not going to engage and promote crypto because you don't want yourself to be seen as promoting a scam. So the bar is really, really high to get into tier one, like almost impossible. But with these guys, we did it and we did it so well. We understood how to give credibility to that company, even though they were just starting out. The founders used to work at JP Morgan. One of them used to work at the Security and Exchange Commission, the US government. We like took all that, we like made a great story about what they were building. We had partnerships with Amazon and we leveraged that. We got them features in Fortune, Forbes, TechCrunch. We got one of their executives, Monica, on the Bloomberg television 2 different times. It was insane. And like however you want to measure it, their token price or whatever when we started working with them was 30 cents. And at one point during our engagement, it reached $28. That's bonkers. So yeah, like a massive success, like beyond all expectations. And then finally, IoT, Internet of Things is what that stands for. Density. Density, what's cool about this case study is that this is a company that really had a product nobody really wanted or knew they needed until the pandemic hit. And then everybody was all about like safe distancing and stuff, and like that was where their technology really excelled, like figuring out how many people are in a certain room and like the spacing of where people are in real time so you could theoretically bring people back to the office in a safe way. That was such a crazy narrative, and like it was just like we got Wired, we got Fast Company, we had them talking to journalists at the New York Times. We had every Forbes, TechCrunch, Business Insider, VentureBeat, the information when they launched their funding. They had a record revenue year. I mean, it was just unbelievable. And again, it was just about meeting the moment and just crushing on a narrative. And this company, again, another unicorn. I mean, so many billion-dollar companies we work with. So wow, it's just I'm blown away. It's just amazing. So, and then finally, last piece, last sort of sector, cybersecurity, Vanta, another billion-dollar company. This client was like launching, kind of not out of stealth, but like they were announcing their first big funding round, their Series A, and they had some number of customers, but they hadn't really taken off just yet. And people really didn't know, like, why do I need like a compliance partner, someone who can do the compliance for me automatically? And so there was just this challenge of like, how do you frame what they do? How do you make it interesting? They had a great CEO who was a woman who was really like super smart and very like outgoing and just excelled. And we packaged up this entire story and we got an incredible feature in Forbes, along with a whole bunch of other coverage on top of that. Like we got VentureBeat to cover their story, San Francisco Business Time, a whole bunch of like local media. We had their Wall Street Journal get involved. So like in general, I think like this one's interesting probably because some people, if you look at some of these other clients, it's like they had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of articles over 10 years. It was amazing. It was all about volume and all this stuff. And then for this client, it was very short engagement, but it was just like so well executed. It was like they had a very specific need. They wanted to launch out of stealth and they wanted to nail that specific moment in time. And we did that with just 6 pieces on very high tier one media across the board. And then they went on to win, next $1 billion startups. They're already worth over $1 billion at this moment. And yeah, like, so like these are all like kind of the most interesting case studies and the things that I'm most proud of. I think in terms of like these things here, how can you prove that you work proactively? I mean, you know, maybe the case study that brings that out the most is probably this one, where it was just like 2 weeks, no press kit, one shot. Like nobody's going to do this unless you're proactively working. Like the founder is trying to launch the product. He's hands down and looking away from you, trying to do all this. You have to be like confident enough in yourself that you can basically set the tone for everything, run the program, and just pull in the founder or the CEO when you need to get a little approval or a little sign off. But you're just running and being proactive. You're not being told what to do. That's a big one. But honestly, for all of these clients, we are very, very proactive. How can you prove it? I mean, you have testimonials that say that. So I would probably lean on other people saying that. There's a great one, I think, from Alex at Density, if I'm not mistaken, which is like, you know, it, yeah, it feels like they've upended the current model where you sort of hand it off and you really have to stay on them to get the work done. Salient is delivering the way you would if you were in that seat. I mean, that's a pretty good quote. So I think in general, those are my thoughts here on answering number 10 and number 13. So I think that's basically it.